Senate Joint Resolution 12 has passed both the Senate and the House, putting to a vote of the people whether statewide elected officials should be limited to just 2 terms in office. Owasso State Senator Randy Brogdon authored the bill, which he says will be very important for the state.
When you have turnover in the state legislature, when you have turnover in statewide elected offices, fresh faces will bring fresh ideas. And we are seeing that in the Oklahoma legislature this year and the last several years. Term limits have kicked in, and long-time entrenched politicians are having to move out of their offices, and new faces are coming in, and you can see the difference, especially in the state Senate this year. A great example, some of my bills that I have filed 7 years ago are just now beginning to be heard and passed. Term limits is one of them. So I'm excited about the possibility that we're going to have the people will be able to vote on the term limits. They're going to limit how long the statewide elected officials can serve. They'll be limited to 2 terms, and I think that's going to be a great benefit to the citizens in this state.
Opponents of term limits say if someone keeps getting reelected, it must be because they're doing a good job and they should be allowed to continue doing it.
You don't have to be around this place very long until you realize that the whole system is set up for incumbency. It's not set up for the people, and I believe politicians have taken power away from the people, and I believe the power of government lies solely in the hands of the people, not the politicians. So even though we have an opportunity to turn people out at the election, at the time of an election, more often than not, the entrenched politicians are protected through the office of incumbency. So this gives one more layer of protection for the people, and I believe that is better for all the citizens of Oklahoma.
A Tulsa World Opinion piece argued that Republicans were targeting 2 long-term Democratic officials with the vote, Attorney General Drew Edmondson and School Superintendent Sandy Garrett. Brogdon, though, disagrees.
It is targeted to all of the lifetime politicians. That's who it's targeted for. You know, I just announced for governor this weekend, and so hopefully I'll get to serve in that capacity here in the state of Oklahoma. And I believe that I'm term limiting myself right here in the state Senate. I'm not going to run my last 4-year term. There is no one that's indispensable. No politician is indispensable in this state or in this nation, for that matter. And I believe too often politicians think that they're so important that no one can come in behind and fill their shoes. Well, that's folly, and I believe that there's plenty of qualified people to step in at a moment's notice.
Brogdon says not having term limits can and has led to big problems.
Politicians forget who they're serving, and it becomes more about pandering, it becomes more about party politics, and leadership matters. And if you're placed in a position of power, you should lead by serving. And if you stay in a elected position for 20, 30, or 40 years, your tendency is to forget the people, help the bureaucrats, help your friends, do the things that will get you reelected rather than setting good public policy. And that's dangerous, because that truly undermines the very foundation of what our country was founded on and what this state was founded on.
The Tulsa World also argues in its editorial that term limits will just make lobbyists more powerful, but Brogdon says the opposite is true.
The reason lobbyists have so much power today is because lifetime politicians become good friends with the lobbyists. They hang out with them, they go to dinner with them, and there's really nothing wrong with lobbyists who are up here on the right mission. But as you develop very close ties and friendships as a politician with a lobbyist, that can be very counterproductive, because then the politician may decide to, well, maybe I don't really necessarily believe this is the best deal, but he is my good buddy, and I believe I'll just help him out this one time. So I think as new elected officials come into the state Senate and even into statewide offices, you don't have time, a long-term time, to get these close ties. And so I think just the opposite is true. fresh faces will bring fresh ideas, and it will keep that process moving forward on a much greater pace.
The House author of the term limits bill is Representative Jason Murphey of Guthrie. He says public service is not supposed to be a career.
Public service should be seen as a sacrifice by a citizen on behalf of his state for a temporary period of time, whatever that office may be. The problem is that public services often turn into the development of a class of political elite who are in office for a very long period of time, in which time they build big empires. That's wrong. The people have seen that's wrong. And they understand that when someone is allowed to be there indefinitely, they build a large war chest funded by the special interests, scare away any possible opponent or any possible opponent who could feasibly win, and they're in office for as long as they want. And the people don't think that's right. And so that's what term limits does, is it puts a cap and it says that you're going to be here, you're going to be in office, you're going to hopefully make some sacrifices on behalf of the people to do it, and then you're going to go back and live under the laws that you helped enforce. And so that's what term limits allows to happen.
Term limits will affect Republicans and Democrats alike, but Representative Jason Murphy says there's one specific case that always gets mentioned as the perfect reason for term limits.
Statewide. Just the idea that someone can be in office for 50 years or whatever and build an evil empire. The people don't want that to happen again in any office. And so I think the idea is to keep that from happening, whether it be in the office of Attorney General or whether it be in the office of State Senator. People should not be allowed to build political empires in Oklahoma state government.
Murphy agrees with Brogdon that lobbyists won't become more powerful as a result of term limits for statewide elected officials.
Those who build political empires do so by catering to the special interest. It's that special interest money that will fund the political empire that will be here for years. Those who know they're going to go back and live under the rule of law, live with the people, not be a part of a special political class. Hopefully their motive is just to make a sacrifice on behalf of the people, to work hard to do their homework and not to cater to the special interest. That's what a true public servant does. A true public servant isn't about building a political empire. Those who build political empires will cater to the special interest and those that have the money that can build their political empire. And so the beauty in behind term limits is I think it kind of returns us to a point of view of that of our founding fathers, that political service should be a sacrifice. It should be someone who makes a sacrifice, works hard, holds the staff, holds the bureaucrats accountable, doesn't get too close to the special interest to build a long-term political empire. That's what it's all about.
And Brogdon and Murphy both have positive predictions for statewide term limits on the ballot.
My prediction is the people will hold fast to their beliefs. People usually are able to stand strong on what they believe. It's the politicians that struggle doing what the people want. So I predict that this will overwhelmingly pass when it comes up for a vote.
2 years in a row now I've put it on my constituent survey back home, and it's always supported with over around 80% of the vote. So it will pass. All the newspapers in the world could editorialize. A special interest can put a lot of money into it. The people believe in term limits.
While term limits is on the ballot, it's not the last step. Now we need to inform voters on the need for statewide term limits and get it passed. Oklahomans for Responsible Government is sure to have more information on statewide term limits as the 2010 election approaches, so log on to ofrg.org and visit our blog daily.